5:01, we're going to get started. Roll call. Let's see. Brandon Stettenbens.
Here.
All right. Matthew Hickey. Great. Denise Wood, our Planning Commission liaison.
Here.
And Allison Kerr, our City Council Mayor liaison.
Yes.
And City Manager John Gurton is here.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So real quick, a reminder of what has been done. Last meeting, we voted to approve the quote from the playground people, Ross, in its entirety for $126,634. We also agreed to purchase 5 benches for $3,800. So tonight, the big question is the quote from the paving people, Coastal Paving. There's an item in there for restripe, reseal, and resealing, and then also restriping the parking lot. That's about $5,000. And then we had discussion on possibly one of our prior items was some lighting for about $5,000. If we can take those out of our part, and then that would give us about $10,000 left to decide on for this evening. So that is really all we need to do. I'm going to go around or John, actually, would you like to say something first?
Yeah, so, I appreciate all the work that you guys have put into this and all of the thought and working with Ron and working with the contractors on what's realistic and how we want to make the park better and all of that. That's been great. I was talking with Terry earlier. What would be good, you guys have gone through this process and this was rushed and that was great. But for the future, as we're thinking about how we want to provide services in the parks for the community, I don't want to hamper you all too much with worrying about budgets and worrying about costs. And I don't want to put you in too small of a box as you're thinking about the future of the city. We will talk with you about what's realistic and keep the conversation flowing in a direction that's realistic and doable. So we'll provide you with information as we have it, and it'll be a better process because this was kind of a condensed timeline because of a grant deadline that we had to meet. So is a good civics lesson for some of you who haven't been involved in these kinds of things. Public works is a messy job, and especially in a pandemic and hopefully post-pandemic world right now, costs escalate sometimes weekly. If you've gone to Home Depot, a sheet of plywood used to be $25, now it's $75. So that's what it's dealing with. So you're all dealing with the sticker shock that we deal with on a regular basis when we actually scope things out and then we go out to bid, and the bid is drastically higher than what we anticipated. But as far as budgeting and trying to figure out how to implement your recommendation and vision, that's really my job, and working with the council and getting their approval and their input on things. So I don't want you all to feel as you're thinking about things and working with me and Ron and going forward, that's your worry and that's your job to try to constrain what you'd like to see for the city too much based on budget. So that being said, there are things that I can work on with the mayor and with the council on providing other alternatives for funding for things that Ron isn't necessarily, it's not part of his duties, so he doesn't have to worry about those things. So that being said, I know the resurfacing and dealing with some of the accessibility project and all that would kind of came out of left field for you all last time, and the price tag was shocking for all of us. But there are alternatives for dealing with that. And so my understanding, Chair, you can set me straight if I'm wrong, is that the only outstanding thing that was impacted by that, I think, is one additional bocce ball court. Is that correct?
Two
Yes.
courts.
Right, so I think one of them Ron had in the grant application still, even with the escalated cost for the surfacing. And so it would really just be adding the second one back in. And he actually just got a bid as we were closing up shop. So it's actually, I think he estimated $5,000.
A piece, yeah.
Yeah, a piece, right, yeah. And the bid was a hair lower than that, so, yeah.
Okay,
So that helps. And things like lighting and the lighting we can probably handle in our regular budget. The resurfacing, if we go over, we have opportunities with the American Recovery Act money that the council can consider putting some of that money for that. But, so where Ron's coming from and where we come from as a city, we're required to deal with, equal accessibility issues as we have funding. So even though it's not a sexy part of the job, it's important and it's legally required of us. So,
right.
yeah. So anyway, that's all I had to say. I think we can probably get everything that you guys were looking for accomplished. So I didn't want you guys to get discouraged by what happened last week.
Thank you. No, I don't feel discouraged at all. I think because we also talked about, Matthew, just so you know, since you weren't here, we also talked about taking all of the items over at the tennis court, the netting, the poles, restriping. We took that off the table for now. That's going to be a separate issue.
Right.
So really, Matthew, the only thing that was missing out of our original plan was the bocce ball courts. Okay, so that you understand that's what we had talked about prior. All right, Mayor.
I just want to mention, I'm looking at your notes from November 17th, and there were a couple of other items that were missing. So Matthew, that had to be taken out of consideration, and they were the surfer swings, as well as the resurfacing of the tennis courts. But the conversation last time with Ron was that he would be able to fix. So on the tennis courts, there's a couple of poles that are bent. And he said that he could fix those and get tents and possibly get it striped for pickleball. But so we had to take those out of consideration, just so you know. But everything else, so really the benches, the bocce ball court.
And the playground structure.
Right.
And the pathway, because we need to do that.
Yeah. So
Because that's
I just wanted to clarify that.
So Matthew, do you have any questions about that?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, so the playground structure as you saw it at the park and what we've talked about is done. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Big
All right,
kid swings are happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brandon, do you have any questions about anything else?
No.
Okay. Denise,
Thanks.
is there anything that okay. And Allison, you're good? Okay. All right, great. So do I need to make a motion as far as the bocce ball courts or anything? Are we in agreement, Matthew and Brandon, about kind of taking some of the I know John said not to worry about the money, but putting the bocce ball courts ahead, more on our side instead of the lighting and the striping if necessary?
Yeah, the bocce ball courts will happen, and then anything needing to do with the parking lot and the restriping and resurfacing, we'll make sure that gets handled.
Yay. Okay. All right. Great. Is there anybody want to chime in about anything right now?
I just want to say nice job for being thrown in the deep end. I'm sorry, Ron isn't here this evening, but I think as of January, right, we'll be going to once a month meetings, and it will be much calmer, and we'll be able to, kind of walk through things very methodically. So
Right.
Thanks, everybody. This was quite the haul, and it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and hopefully soon, we'll start to see what's going to happen with the president's infrastructure bill and how that money is going to roll out. And the state has tens of billions of dollars in surplus that they're required to find programs for to spend. And so a lot of that will go into infrastructure and parks and water programs. So hopefully over the next year, 2 years, we'll have a lot of opportunity to make improvements.
Great.
Great, wonderful. Well, that was pretty painless. So just for future thinking after the holidays, I believe the first Wednesday is the 5th. So that would be our meeting from now on. We'll try and just keep it to the first Wednesday of every month. And so start thinking about what are the things that you want to see happen in our parks? What are the things, we're going to start a plan, start prioritizing. So as funding becomes available, this is then how we progress. All right. So Matthew and Brandon especially, and then Denise, of course, we're going to need your expertise again about how we, with Ron, of course, how we're going to maybe place some things, because I think you're going to be a great visionary for us in how that's going to look. Yeah, and God bless Ron. I mean, he has been so patient with us as we've been trying to figure all this out. So John, or Allison, if you can convey that, I'm going to email him too, because yeah, he's put up with all of us just trying to sort through all this.
Yeah, we definitely will. Thank you. Yeah. We're extremely lucky to have Ron in our city.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, that's it, I guess. All right. Well, happy holidays to all of you. I hope the next couple weeks you are with friends and family and your heart is happy. And I look forward to seeing all of you on the 5th of January.
Thank you, Terry.
Or in the park.
Or in the
Some
park.
point, right?
Yes, Matthew. Now, Matthew, just so you know, because we approved this, it doesn't mean the structure is going to be here next week. It's going to be a little bit of time,
It'll
okay?
take a while.
But it will be here.
It's not like okay, we want this playground, and the next day it's like, oh, it's here. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, we gotta do construction, we gotta build it.
Right.
All right,
Okay.
guys.
Right.
Be
All right.
safe.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.